What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are doing more of a long-form talking head video, kind of like the stuff that I've been transitioning into on TikTok, but in more long-form here on YouTube, so I don't have to limit myself to 3 minutes of talking about it. And I think it's a great way for me to try and be more consistent about uploading YouTube videos. So in this video, I want to go really, really in depth into the Jets quarterback situation. Okay, they just announced today that they have benched Zach Wilson for this Sunday's upcoming game against the Bears, and that Mike White is going to start. So obviously they don't have not committed to Zach Wilson. I don't know if they will commit to Zach Wilson, but we're going to look at some free agent options, some trade options, some draft options for them, an option in every phase of the market, and we'll see what the most likely option for them is, or if they might just run it back with Zach Wilson next year anyway. So yeah, those are all the things we're covering in this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to everything you can to help this channel grow. I'll try to be more consistent on posting on YouTube as we go on here. This is kind of like the start of that more consistent, more productive upload. So yeah, let's just hop right into it. So we're going to start off by talking about the free agent market and what quarterbacks are set to be free agents, what quarterbacks will actually end up being free agents, and of those, which ones have a realistic chance of being a New York Jet next year. So first of all, looking at Thomas Patrick Brady. Okay, Brady, I don't think he'll be a Buck next year regardless, okay? I think people are kind of leaning towards the fact that he just leaves and doesn't really retire. If he still has stuff left in the tank, knowing Tom Brady, he probably won't retire. But if the Bucks get blown out in the wild card round, or just don't really put up a good fight in the wild card round, or they somehow miss the playoffs, which is pretty much impossible for them, seeing as their division is terrible. And we all know this. I feel like Brady could go somewhere else if they don't have a certain amount of success, because that's kind of what Brady does. And I think this is a more realistic possibility, Brady to the Jets, than I think people are giving it credit for, because this is a team that's already built to win. They have a really, really, really well built team. I mean, they have a good head coach. I like Robert Saleh. They have a good offensive coordinator. I like Mike. Not yeah, it is Mike LaFleur. Their defense is good. This defense has been fantastic this year. They played awesome against the Patriots. The offense, they have Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, two young receivers who are really, really intriguing, and they have Breece Hall and Michael Carter and James Robinson at the running back position, and their tight ends have been okay this year, and the offensive line's good. I mean, there are just tons of pieces on the Jets that make them kind of a free agent magnet after this year. And so Brady, if he wants to go and terrorize the AFC some more, get some revenge on the Patriots, I mean, that's a plus too. But Brady, if he wants a team that's well built and he could win a ring with, the Jets is a good option, so I'm not completely ruling that out, because I don't think he'll be a Buck next year. So why not New York? Baker Mayfield set to be a a free agent. Um, this isn't going to happen. The next two quarterbacks on this list, or the next quarterback after this one, also plays for Carolina currently. Neither of these guys are going to end up on the Jets. Baker, Sam Darnold, no. The next one's pretty intriguing. It's Jimmy G. Garoppolo, Saleh is from San Francisco. That's a plus. I mean, I think they're willing to offer Garoppolo money. The problem is, I don't know what the 49ers' willingness to let him walk is going to be, and they might just offer him a bag just to stay there, because I mean, they did it with the 1 year contract, and it's working out. This year, it's working out. I mean, Trey Lance got hurt. Obviously, that's really unfortunate. I don't think Jimmy G would be playing right now as we speak if Trey Lance hadn't have gotten hurt, but I think Trey Lance is their future plan still. So if Jimmy G decides that he wants to walk after this season, I think the Jets are a really good option for him as well, because the Jets need somebody who can manage a game well and get you those wins that Zach Wilson sometimes and most of the time won't, because he can't manage a game well, because he makes too many stupid decisions. Okay, Jimmy G is not the perfect quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he can manage a game, and there's a reason why the 49ers have been able to have success with Jimmy G in the past, why he's been to a Super Bowl and went to an NFC Championship game last year. It's because with a good team around him, he can manage a game well enough for them to pull out the win. And that's exactly what the Jets are. So I think Jimmy G is a great option for New York. Teddy Bridgewater is the perfect free agent quarterback for any team looking to just bridge a guy, have a bridge guy and work another younger guy in. He's going to be a free agent. No reason for the Dolphins to hold on to him with the way Tua's playing. I think Teddy could very well end up in the Jets, in a Jets uniform again. I mean, he had a good experience there the first time. It's just he wasn't there for very long at all. But I mean, I don't teams that need a quarterback, a lot of people are looking at Teddy Bridgewater to either be their backup or if he wants to win a job somewhere, why not sign with the Jets? Daniel Jones, I don't think he'll end up being a free agent. I think they're going to sign him to a 1-year deal and draft a project guy at quarterback. Let Daniel Jones have the keys for another 1, maybe 2 years, and then have the prospect or the project guy kind of work his way in. Probably it would just be a year. I would say that I think Daniel Jones remains a Giant for at least next year. I mean, he's played well enough this year. He has been fantastic, but he's played well enough this year, and the Giants in general have played well enough this year with him at quarterback for them to at least hold on to him for next year and then figure out what the plan is moving forward. So I don't think Daniel Jones is in any way going to be anywhere but the Giants. And even if he did leave, I don't think it would be the Jets. Jacoby Brissett, who is not even 30 yet. He will be when he would be when he would become a Jet. But Brissett, I think he's good. Okay, I mean he's a good option. I mean if they're looking to find somebody like a veteran who's just a bridge quarterback, that's the guy. Or a veteran to sit in front of Zach Wilson. I mean, they already have Joe Flacco, who isn't even starting this week after they benched Zach Wilson. But Jacoby Brissett's a decent option. Geno Smith's going to get franchise tagged or signed by the Seahawks or something. The way he's playing, they're going to keep him around for sure. Andy Dalton, he's 35. No reason to take a shot on him. Taylor Heineke is interesting, but Washington really likes him as a team, and he wins them football games when he plays. So I think even if they do want to start Wentz, and they probably should start Wentz, Heineke is a phenomenal backup option for that team. Even if he isn't the best quarterback in the world, they rally around him. They play well when he's on the field. Lamar Jackson's going to get franchise tagged or signed to an extension. There is no scenario I can possibly see where he is not a Raven, at least for next year. So I think we're definitely looking at Lamar Jackson staying put right where he is. Drew Lock's set to be a free agent. You know what? I'm a big Drew Lock fan. Y'all know that. I'd like to see it. He's a gunslinger. They have a good offense. I think they'd be pretty dope. He's like the most notable guy on this list. Down the line, Gardner Minshew, I would like to talk about. Gardner Minshew is super interesting to me because Gardner Minshew played phenomenal for the Eagles last year when they were missing Jalen Hurts for a couple games. He had some decent games, and I think Minshew still deserves a chance to start. He's only 26. He'll be 27 when he would join the Jets, but that's like 3 years until he's 30. I mean, give the guy a shot. I don't see why not. So those are the free agent options that you can look into for quarterbacks. Okay, if you're the Jets, like I said, the more likely options, in my opinion, are Brady, Garoppolo, Bridgewater, and maybe, where is it? Brissett. Maybe Brissett. The other guys, I can either see them pretty much guaranteed to be staying where they're at, or I just don't see them going to the Jets. So, yeah, let's talk about some trade options for this team when it comes to this offseason. All right, next we're going to look at some trade options for the Jets. For if they want to trade somebody, they have a lot of assets and stuff. Who would they trade for? My first option here is Derek Carr. Okay, Derek Carr has not been playing well. Okay, and we talked about this a little bit in the last episode of the podcast, how Derek Carr probably won't get moved because the only reason a certain receiver is in Las Vegas is because Derek Carr is there. But if they did decide, hey, we're going to move Derek Carr after this year, I think the Jets are a good trade option for him. He's also a guy who can manage a game well, but I think he can manage it at a higher level, and he's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo is, right? We talked about in the free agent segment how Jimmy Garoppolo is the exact kind of game manager they want, but I think Derek Carr elevates them even more than Garoppolo would in that sense. Like I said, I don't really see a situation where Derek Carr gets moved. If he does, I want it to be to a team that's going to win, and that's the Jets. So honestly, it's not unthinkable. In my opinion, it is not entirely unthinkable. He hasn't worked out phenomenally for them. So the Raiders this year, so maybe Derek Carr. That's one trade option for them, I think. Another interesting option is Ryan Tannehill. I don't know if he's a trade or if he's set to be a free agent. He's not on the free agent list, so I guess this would have to be a trade. Ryan Tannehill is another one of those game manager guys who can really do a good job of like winning you games. I mean, Ryan Tannehill has been the quarterback of a 1 seed team in the AFC, a team that's made the playoffs a lot, and you can attribute a lot of that success to Mike Vrabel, and I wouldn't blame you if you did. But Ryan Tannehill's been the quarterback of those teams. It's the same thing as like you can attribute most of the Niners' success to Kyle Shanahan, but Jimmy G's still the quarterback, and Jimmy G still was playing quarterback for a team that was in those positions. So Tannehill's really the only other trade option guy that I wanted to talk about, so I'm just going to move right into the segment we're talking about with the draft. Some guys that could potentially be available that I would maybe take a shot on if I were them. One of them is Anthony Richardson if he falls. I think Anthony Richardson is one of the biggest projects in this entire draft. He's not ready to start on day one. Zach Wilson, whether or not you hold on to him, whether or not you start him, if you start Joe Flacco, then next year you start Mike White next year. You have somebody playing in front of Anthony Richardson so we can sit and learn and work and develop his skills. But Anthony Richardson's ceiling is really, really interesting because he has shown flashes of greatness, much like Josh Allen did in college, where Josh Allen was not phenomenal in college. I don't think anybody tries to dispute that Josh Allen wasn't a good quarterback in college, or at least a good enough one to really take a shot on with a high pick. I think Anthony Richardson could fall. I think CJ Stroud could fall. Okay, if CJ Stroud, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if this potentially could happen, if CJ Stroud does not have a good game against against Michigan, if he has a bad game and Ohio State loses, that is going to cause his draft stock to plummet because people are already skittish about Ohio State quarterbacks. Okay, people are already on the fence about Ohio State quarterbacks. Justin Fields should have gone second overall to the Jets last year. They didn't take him. I don't think they made the same mistake twice. I think if CJ Stroud falls for them, they should take him, and because he's the guy who can start day one. And then in this situation, the one that I don't think is that realistic is drafting a guy like I've said. Hopefully in the beginning of the video. If I didn't say it, then I'm saying it now. I really do not think that this is a realistic situation because what do you do with Zach Wilson? You just bench him for a guy who's just coming in the league this year for a rookie, or do you trade him like the Cardinals did to Josh Rosen and he never plays for another team again? I mean, I don't know. I think that Zach Wilson probably deserves a shot somewhere else, or maybe even in New York. If they draft somebody, I don't think New York should hold on to him. I think New York should trade him. I think there's a possibility that Zach Wilson's a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. A possibility, okay? But I'm taking like Drew Lock over him right now. Okay, if I was a team right now and both were set to be free agents, they're not, but if both set to be free agents, I had to choose between only those two, like those are the best two available options, I would take Drew Lock 1,000 times out of 1,000. Okay, I would take Drew Lock 1,000 times out of 1,000. Zach Wilson, I mean, I was wrong about him. That's all I'm going to say. As we kind of move into, I think Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud are really the two guys that they're going to end up taking. Maybe Will Levis, but those are really the only draft options I can think of. But just moving into Zach Wilson himself and talking about this year, I was super wrong about him. You know, I pushed narratives early in the year that Justin Fields was worse than Zach Wilson, and people called me crazy, and I said, just watch, and they watched, and I got proven wrong so hard. Justin Fields has been a baller since I said those things, and Zach Wilson has been the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. The problem with him is you move him off of his spot, you've beaten him because he can't make throws on the run. And I knew that, but I kind of figured that like he would develop and learn to make those throws on the run and make those plays outside of the pocket. He just hasn't been able to do it. He's the one true COVID merchant. I really just don't know what else to say about him. He's been awful this year. I drafted him in fantasy leagues. I was really high on this dude coming into the year, and I can admit that I was wrong. He's going to end up being maybe even the worst QB in this class, although Davis Mills sucks too. He just got benched today too. I'm making a bunch of TikToks, more shorter form videos about some of these other like benchings and more talking about like some other like less complicated QB situations. But I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. I really hope you guys are enjoying the more long form talking head videos where I'm just sitting here talking about a certain topic and I don't have to worry about time constraints, so I can go into as much depth as I want. I really had a lot of fun making this video, and like I said, I'm going to be trying to post more consistently on YouTube, at least 3 or 4 videos a week of this style, maybe some gaming, maybe some podcast clips, maybe some stuff like that, just trying to keep you guys posted on YouTube and stuff, so I'm not just like sitting here and only posting TikToks and stuff. So yeah, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next video.